And welcome to the Newman City Council regular meeting, March 24th, 2026. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, we come before you to seek guidance and wisdom tonight. Bless this council as they serve our community. May every decision honor you and uplift those we represent. Amen. Scott did it last time. I know he told.
Roll call. Councilmember Pimentel.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ball.
Here.
Councilmember Tomlinson.
Here.
Councilmember Harden. Here. Mayor Graham.
Here. Any declaration of conflicts of interest tonight? None? All right, so ceremonial matters, none. Items from the public, non-agenda items. Anybody in the public wishing to speak, please go ahead and go up to the mic and you got about 3 minutes. None? Okay. You sure none of you guys want to go talk? I'm sure you could get extra credit for it or something.
We're here to sign.
All right, number 8, consent calendar. A, waive all readings of ordinance and resolution except by title. B, approval of warrants. C, approval of minutes of the March 10th, 2026 meetings.
Move we adopt the consent calendar.
Second.
First and second, go and vote electronically. Motion carries 5-0. Public hearings, none tonight. Item number 10, regular business. A, adopt resolution 2026. Next number, resolution adopting the City of Newman Road Safety Action Plan. Thomas?
Hello, good evening, members of the council and public. We have our safety action plan for your consideration tonight. Kyle with Tool Design Group is here. That might Tool might sound familiar from last month. They helped us work on our develop our T Street corridor plan, and Kyle was actually on some of that outreach too on that one. But he led the project for the safety action plan. I'll let Kyle walk us through some slides, and feel free to ask some questions during or at the end, and then I'll wrap it up with a few words. Thank you.
Welcome, Kyle.
Thank you very much. My name is Kyle McGowan. I'm with Tool Design Group. We are the consultants on this project, which is the Newman Road Safety Action Plan. So I'm just going to walk you through, what the Safety Action Plan is, what it seeks to implement, and everything like that. So first off, what is a Road Safety Action Plan? Essentially, it's a strategic data and community-informed roadmap to reduce crashes in Newman. It really focuses on the most severe crashes, where they occur, why they occur, and really goes into that. It identifies the most important issues through both data analysis of crash data and community engagement. And from that, it identifies projects and programs and policies that are really aimed to reduce the occurrence and severity of traffic crashes in the city of Newman. So we started this project back in April of 2025, and we've been engaging with the Newman community throughout. But essentially, the project was broken up into 3 phases, sort of an introduction phase, introducing the project to the community. The second phase was identifying priority issues and locations and strategies. And the final phase, which we just wrapped up in February of 2026, is to really develop projects and programs that are aimed at increasing the safety of Newman streets. So what is in a road safety action plan? It really starts with crash data analysis. So we identify high injury corridors, high injury intersections, really where the crashes that are resulting in either fatalities or serious injuries are occurring. But the crash data really doesn't tell us everything. And so for that, we really like to have a lot of community input. And in this project, we did have a lot of community input from residents, from stakeholders, and from agency partners. From those 2, we developed recommended improvements. Those consisted of location-specific improvements at specific locations throughout Newman, systemic citywide projects that we can apply throughout the city of Newman itself, and then more non-infrastructure things like policies and programs that involve education or enforcement, emergency response to increase road safety throughout the city. And then finally, we wrapped it up with guidance to prioritize these improvements and implement the improvements. The improvements were prioritized in short and medium and long term based on funding and the city's capabilities to implement these improvements. And really what this does, it aligns with local and state and federal funding programs and requirements. So just to give a breakdown of what's happening today in the city of Newman in terms of road safety, in our report, we looked at crashes from the past 10 years, from 2015 to 2024. As at the time, that was the latest full 10 years of crash data. During that time, we had 116 crashes. 9 of those, unfortunately, resulted in either fatal injury or serious injury. 2 of those fatal or serious injury crashes involved pedestrians, 3 involved bicyclists, and 4 just involved motor vehicles. The top causes of the crashes that we looked at in the city of Newman involved unsafe driving behaviors or speeding, right-of-way violations, which is essentially people not yielding to the correct right-of-way as they're pulling out of an intersection or onto a road, and DUIs, so people driving while they're under the influence of drugs or alcohol. One important thing to note here is 1/4 of the crashes that we looked at were involved in dark conditions, so that really, I think, speaks to the potential to improve lighting throughout the Newman community. And we also, in addition to looking at the overall trends of crashes, we looked at where they're happening with most frequency. So as I'm sure to nobody's surprise, most of the crashes occurred along Highway 33. Several crash concentrations also were seen on Inyo Avenue and Merced Street in the Hills Ferry Road corridor. And there are also a number of crashes near parks and schools. So I think really focusing on how we can improve safety near parks and schools where there are a lot of folks walking and biking it was really a key focus of the Road Safety Action Plan. So like I mentioned, the crash data, it only tells us a part of the story. And so really what we aim to do in this safety action plan is to hear what was most important from the community. So the engagement process that we did was multi-pronged. We had pop-ups at community events, and in January we had a workshop that coincided with a workshop on the T Street project. So that was really valuable to hear what folks were focused on. For folks who couldn't make it to any sort of in-person events, we also had an online survey and a web map where people could answer questions and place pins on the web map to point out serious issues that they're having or locations that they're most worried about. And we also had a stakeholder task force, which was involved with the police department and Parks and Recreation department, folks from the schools, and that really helped us to guide the improvements and guide the recommendations of this report. Some of the top concerns that we heard from the community were speeding drivers, lack of sidewalks and bike lanes, intersection safety, just safety near intersections, busy intersections, and safety near parks and schools. So these 4 sort of focus areas really guided our improvements and guided our recommendations in the safety action plan. And really how we grouped these potential improvements in the road safety action plan were within 3 groups. So we had location-specific improvements, we had systemic improvements, and we had non-infrastructure improvements. So the location-specific improvements were 12 locations throughout the city. These were identified as really target high-priority intersections, high-priority corridors. These were determined either through, these had a lot of crashes, had a lot of really severe crashes, or we heard from the community that these were really important areas. And as you see on the map on the left here, it's locations like 33 in Inyo, 33 in Merced, Sherman Parkway in 33, some areas near Sherman Park, and a lot of different areas throughout the city. And I think it was really important to get a good mix of locations throughout the city to identify these improvements. And we identified what could be done to improve safety at these locations. And there's a few different improvement examples that I'd like to walk you through. So for the location-specific improvements, and this is laid out in the safety action plan, each of these 12 locations we have, what improvements we want to make, how much generally it costs, if it's a short, medium, or long-term improvement. I think that's really important to sort of guide the city's efforts. So we're recommending things like high visibility crosswalks. I think it's really important to bring attention to pedestrians and bicyclists as they're crossing those intersections. Speed feedback signs really give you a dynamic speed of what you're traveling as you're traveling along corridor. And I think there were some high speed corridors that we identified here in the city of Newman that we recommended these on. Bike lanes, I think, this is going to be a really important one to improve the bikeability of the city of Newman, and I think that's something that's already taking place. Flashing stop sign beacons give more visibility to stop signs as you're approaching them, and that really can be useful in areas with low light or low visibility. Something we noticed in the city is that there could be improvements to curb ramp ADA accessibility. So as we're building out the streets more, making sure that those streets are able to accommodate folks who have limited accessibility, people using wheelchairs and the like. And finally, curb extensions. So as you'll see in this picture, a curb extension can take a number of different forms, but really essentially what it does is it sort of bulbs out the curb at an intersection, giving more space for pedestrians to be visible as before they cross our crosswalk. In addition to these 12 location-specific improvements, we also identified 3 types of systemic projects that can be applied at similar locations throughout the city of Newman. So we identified 3 types, one of which is high-visibility crosswalks. We identified a number of locations throughout the city of Newman, mostly near parks and schools and in areas where there's a lot of folks walking and biking, that these can be applied. One other thing that we noticed as we were working on this project is that a lot of the residential streets in the city of Newman are quite wide, and when you have a wide street, that encourages folks to speed faster. One thing that we can do, and it's fairly low cost, is to apply striping to the street to narrow the street width, really delineating between the space that's used for traveling cars and for parking or bike lanes or what have you. I think that'll be really useful on some of these corridors, and we identified those in the safety action plan. And the final one that we identified as a systemic improvement are rectangular rapid flashing beacons. You might have seen these around. These are flashing lights that can be activated by a pedestrian before they cross the crosswalk. Really just gives more visibility to pedestrians as they cross. And I think there's a number of areas throughout the city that these could be really beneficial for. In addition to the infrastructure improvements that I just talked about, I think what's really important as well is to make changes to policies and programs to increase road safety in Newman. So things like road school safety programs or educational campaigns to reduce speeding. One thing that I think would be really useful is a neighborhood traffic calming plan and toolbox, and I think that's an effort that a lot of cities throughout California have done, and it really identifies a process for citizens and residents to petition the city for traffic calming on their streets, and really lays out a process for that, and makes it less of an ad hoc process and more of a process that can be followed. One thing that we also noticed that there was a number of crashes, and we also heard this in the community engagement with agricultural and freight operators. So how can we get agricultural operators and trucks to travel a little bit safer on Newman streets? And one thing that I think is going to be very important is changes to roadway maintenance policies to improve street safety. So how can we make it so that when the crews go out there to maintain the roadways, they are applying some of these things that we're talking about here in the road safety action plan. So we've identified a lot of things that the city of Newman can do. We also identified how it can be implemented and how it can be, most importantly, I think, funded. So the road safety action plans identifies pathways for the city of Newman to fund and implement each of these projects. Each infrastructure project that I just sort of went through was given a timeline, and that was really based on cost and the city's ability to implement it. If the city needs to do design or if it's just a simple striping project. We've put them into buckets of short term, medium term, and long term, and that really I think will help the city to prioritize these improvements. And for each improvement, we've also identified funding sources because the city, like every city, has limited funds, and I think there's a lot of money out there for these types of improvements. So things like Highway Safety Improvement Program, the Active Transportation Program, Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality, that program, these are all state programs. The federal nationwide Safe Streets and Roads for All program is something that's going to be, I think, really useful, and that actually helped to fund this effort, and there's additional funding available to actually implement projects. And then also regional funding from StanCog. I think that's something that's been discussed in the past, and seeing how we can leverage regional funding to pay for some of these projects. So the plan also concludes with outlining the next steps that the city can take to keep momentum on road safety and increasing that in in the city of Newman. So really prioritizing safety projects at key locations. We identified those priority locations. I think pursuing grant funding is going to be really key for the city to identify projects. I've been talking with Thomas about that. One thing that I think would be really useful for the city is to track safety metrics annually. So, as these improvements are implemented, how has that affected road safety? The crashes going down? Are they going up? Or what are we seeing differently? And then really continuing community engagement. I think that's going to be really useful. As projects like the T Street project and others really move forward. I think continuing to engage with the community and identifying what they want and what the priorities are really, really useful. And just something I'd like to close with, all of these efforts, everything that we're doing in the Road Safety Action Plan really is supportive of the goal that the city has of reducing fatal and serious injury crashes by 50% by 2040. So it's 14 years away. I think with these improvements, we're taking the steps in the right direction. So that's all I have for you. Would love any questions if you have any.
I have a question.
Yes.
I noticed in your presentation that you mentioned something about educational programs.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Is that also as a community or like in conjunction with the schools as well? Because I think sometimes too, there's a gap in between the education of schools and community when kids are walking to school and they don't realize what are the safety rules to cross the street or to look for other vehicles. So I was wondering if that included also education with the district.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that is going to be a really key thing for the community to do is develop some curriculum for the schools to teach the safest ways to get to and from school, and I think that's going to be probably the most effective way as well.
Yeah, one more question. Can you go back on your presentation? There was a map that was numbered. This one right here.
Yes.
Is this ranked or is it just these are numbers for to identify points?
Yeah, these are just numbers to identify different locations for the city.
Okay.
And in the Road Safety Action Plan, it has 12, I think we call them profile pages or something like that, where it talks about these particular locations, the crashes that we saw here in the data, and then the improvements that we think.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So I know that you have a lot of study around the actual traffic corridors and what the crashes that happen, some of the proactive things with the actual city and the residents giving you feedback. I have kids in all three schools, and so some of the challenges I've seen with just the flow of traffic, how people are pulling in, how they've decided to control the in and out of the traffic in those parking lots does cause some of the issues and some of the safety issues that I see today. But more into that, I didn't see anything about the use of speed bumps or anything of crosswalks in front of schools that are not just limited to the intersections. Are you guys not a fan of speed bumps, or is there other reasons why you wouldn't want to choose some of those other control measures?
On the speed bump and speed humps, in general, we have sparingly used those because there's additional actions that could happen with a speed bump that have to be looked at. So, for example, if you put speed bumps or speed humps in a certain corridor, it will divert traffic to other parts of other corridors that might not be set up in a way to handle that type of traffic. That's to answer the speed bump. It's not that we're completely leaving them off, but they're not the main focus based on guidance and engineering designs and our community. And then on the crosswalk parts, as Kyle talked about the systemic one versus the location-specific types of actions we can do in town. Those crosswalks are part of the systemic one where when identified a need for a crosswalk in an area, we could use that, and not necessarily it's one of those 12 points, right? And when needed or thought we need one in an area, we can look at that area closer and then possibly be able to put in a crosswalk if it's in front of a school or in certain areas.
I would like for you guys to take a look at the Hunt area since it's so close to the high school. The traffic over there is more congested than anywhere else. And I know for the little kids there, it's a lot harder for parents to get in and out. And for the amount of people I've seen almost get hit in front of that school, I've been an advocate to try to get speed bumps or something better to control the traffic over there because there's quite a bit of speeding and unsafe activity in that area.
Okay, we'll look at that. I'll say a couple more words, Mayor. As mentioned, this was funded by the U.S. Department of Transportation, so I want to thank them. I want to thank the community members because the type of feedback we get on the T Street corridor, on this plan and other future plans really help us ensure we're doing what the community needs and the community wants. Along with your guidance, we can take this plan, this Safe Streets for All, the Safety Action Plan, and help us get secure funding. And also, it is a requirement for some grant funding options and StanCog funding options. You have to have this document in hand. So it's really great that we have it. It's prepared. And the next steps, as Kyle mentioned, there are implementation steps of the Safe Streets for All grant. Additionally, I want to thank the stakeholders that participated in this, including internal stakeholders, the police department, the fire department, recreation, all provided their expertise and input from what they've seen throughout the community, and additionally input from our stakeholders, the community stakeholders like the school district, the First Student, and those residents that did come out and help participate. And so, as a reminder, this safety action plan project cost was approximately $150,000, and $120,000 was from the grant, and 30 local match came from the local transportation fund. And staff recommends adopting this safety action plan, and I appreciate you guys listening to this presentation.
Any other questions for me? Bring it back to council for action.
Move to adopt resolution number 2026, a resolution adopting the City of Newman Road Safety Action Plan.
Second.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you for that, Thomas. Thank you, Kyle. We appreciate your time and being here for that.
Thank you very much.
Well done. Item 10B, adopt resolution 2026, next number, resolution approving and authorizing the city manager or designee to execute the California Governor's Office of Emergency Services agreement for the temporary transfer of vehicle equipment, a Type 3 fire engine.
Good evening, Mayor,
Chief.
Council. The city was given an opportunity to partner with the California Office of Emergency Services on becoming an assignee of a Type 1 or Type 3 fire engine. This is going to be a apparatus that's going to add to our fleet, increase our capabilities. The program came to mind about March. We reached out and just kind of showed our interest, and we were notified that they did have an apparatus that meets the need. It's a 2008 ITL Central States Model 34. It's one of the smaller engines. It's going to be kind of greenish in color. It will be assigned to the city of Newman. We can use it for, high water events. We can use it for wildland firefighting. OES primarily designs these to use them in the out-of-county mutual aid sphere of our world. So we'll be able to take advantage of that too. The real part for us is that we're just going to house it, maintain it. There's no direct maintenance it cost us other than about up to $100. This is maybe an oil change, or we got to put a light bulb in it or something. Just our day-to-day use, fuel in it. We do have to carry an insurance policy, but overall, we're benefiting. We're getting an apparatus that's valued at almost $272,000 that we'll be able to use for our community. We'll be able to treat it just like our first out apparatus. So if someone calls, we'll bring it and we'll use it. Comes fully equipped with everything in it. So our recommendation, unless, pending any questions, is that you guys adopt the resolution and we can sign the agreement and get it down here.
Any questions? I'd like to thank you.
Oh, sorry, I do have a question. I was just wondering, I noticed that on there, I said we have to take liability for insurance and all that. Is that correct?
Correct. We have to maintain a liability insurance because they are transferring the vehicle to us.
And I guess my question is to Lou, is that something that was within our budget that what do we have to adjust our budget to?
It's not specifically in our budget, but it's going to get added in with our policy, which covers.
It all. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank you for getting this and bringing this to committee because it is an important engine to have here, and it gives opportunities for the volunteers to go and strike teams and participate and get them experience. So with that, bring it back to council for action.
I move we adopt resolution number 2026, a resolution approving and authorizing the city manager or designee to execute the California Governor's Office of Emergency Services agreement for the temporary transfer of vehicular equipment A Type 3 fire engine.
Second.
Just a second. Vote. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you,
Trying to
Chief.
make the titles a little better.
I like it.
Items from city manager and staff. Michael?
Thank you, Mayor. Just an update. I did receive an email from members of Congressman Gray's office. They just asked for a little bit additional information on our community funding request that we asked for $1 million to help us demo the Foster Farms site, clean that all up, and remove the asbestos and lead paint. So the good news is we're still in the process and we're still moving forward. We haven't got the
no.
We haven't got the no or the yes yet, but it's good that they're asking additional information. I had already had most of that information in a nice format for them. I sent it once already, but cleaned it up a little bit and added some more, and then sent that back to them. So they were happy with the
What's the
receipt.
timeline on that? Do we know?
Generally, we're probably going to hear towards the end of April, beginning of May, if he's moving ours forward if he moves ours forward, there's a great chance that we're going to get funded. So it's just a matter of him picking the ones out of his district that he wants to move forward. Just for the community, we have a number of job openings that we're currently recruiting for. You can find those on our website, cityofnewman.com. And I think we have 3 right now that are opening. And I think we're anticipating 1 or 2 more probably in the next 30 to 45 days. So if you're out looking for a great city job, if you're going to be graduating from high school soon, there might be some opportunities for you within our city. So. And just lastly, because we won't meet until later, I just want to offer everybody a blessed Easter season. So.
Thank you, Michael. Ally?
Evening, Mayor, council members. Just to let you know that the last day for brush pickup is March 31st. That's this upcoming weekend. So for code enforcement purposes, all leaf and brush needs to be cleared out of the street after that date. With that, I'd also like to remind community members that the sun is out, it's bright out there, grass is growing. We have to maintain our yards as well. For anybody hearing us online or community members, just remember that they have to be conforming to surrounding neighborhoods. Other than that, on recreation, we will be hosting with Q a volleyball tournament for adults on April 18th. If you have any questions, you guys can contact me or the recreation department. With that, I can answer any questions that y'all may have.
Thank you, Ally. Chief Richardson?
Evening, Mayor, council members. I do not have anything to report, but I did hear your comments about Hunt Elementary, and we'll allocate resources when available for over there.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Chief.
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Thomas?
I want to just say that we're working towards getting our Measure L project for L Street done up, and we're about the 90% level of that. And recently, the StanCog's Measure L committee, oversight committee, requested City of Newman to speak to that project, and so I attended that. Let them know our timeline. We're hopeful on an aggressive timeline by the end of the year to have that L Street done. And as we get closer to that, I'll have more information. But I can answer any questions.
Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you.
Chief Bowen?
Mayor, council, Thursday we'll be participating in a ceremonial matter for former Chief Ken Johnson. So we'll be leading the procession out to, oh my goodness, I just had to bring Stevenson, where he'll be buried. So we'll lead that out Thursday, so you'll see us out there. And then we had our Explorer meeting, and we had 5 new students. So we're super excited. Anyone high school age interested in a career in fire service, public safety, EMS, any of that, nursing, come on by and we'll get you on the right road. And I can answer any other questions you guys might have.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Pro Tem?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Nothing more.
Nothing.
No, just excited to see the projects and the progress for the city and the roads. So definitely excited to see what else you guys have coming. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys for being here. Students, if you guys need stuff signed off, just come up and grab one of us. We'll sign it off for that. And with that, I'd like to wish everybody a happy Easter and ask for adjournment.
I move we adjourn.